At a minimum from this video, I'd say you're going to understand how to create viral long form content using AI, all without ending up with that horrible ChatGPT slop that no one wants in the world. So we're going to go step by step from idea all the way to the editing process. And you're actually going to need three things to do this for yourself. One, you need some sort of note taker, notebook, Google Docs, something like that. I've just got a clean Notion page up here because I'm going to want to make notes and sort of construct prompts and thoughts as we go. Two, obviously, you're going to need some AI. I like to use Claude, but you can use ChatGPT. Honestly, you don't need anything fancy. You could use a free account for this as well. This isn't about building custom GPTs and projects. We're just going to be working straight in the chat window here. And three, you're going to need a brain as well, because although we're going to outsource some of the heavy lifting, you're going to still need to think to get this done. And actually, four, cup of coffee, because we're writing, so you need a cup of black coffee to get anything done. Just refill the caffeine meter before we get started. First thing we need to work on is the seed of an idea. We need something to write about. And I've been having this thought recently that AI is like a mirror, in that you kind of get what you put out. There's all the phrases like garbage in, garbage out. But it's a pretty weak point, and I think most people at this stage will be like, that's a good idea. Let me write an article about how AI is like a mirror. And they'd start either writing or prompting ChatGPT, start writing something like AI is like a mirror. If you're lazy, and then they'd be like, no, lazy, maybe like if you're idle, yeah, that's a better adjective, then all you get is trash. Oh, wait, trash, maybe. Actually, let's use the word garbage. And honestly, if you're starting like that, or you're just going into ChatGPT and saying, I want to write an article about how AI is a mirror, can you come up with an outline for me, or something like that, you're missing the wider point, because there's a bigger decision we need to make before we start writing anything. And that decision is either that AI is a mirror is the main point of my article, and it's going to contain subpoints to back that up, or AI is a mirror is a subpoint of a wider article. Okay. Now, for me, I think like AI as a mirror, it's pretty weak. We need to do a lot of work on this. For me, it's going to be a subpoint in a wider article about something like how to avoid bad ChatGPT outputs. Again, thinking top level here, we need to do a lot better than that title. Otherwise, we're just going to end up with generic stuff coming through. And to help in the process of fleshing this out and getting to a better final destination, we need to actually set some goals. We need a compass of where this article is going. Otherwise, again, we're prompting ChatGPT in just like complete random, no real goal or outcome. So I like to put some goals for what my content will aim to achieve or work towards. So in my mind, those goals look something like it should be connected to better use of AI, it should be actionable, giving the reader tangible methods or lessons, and it should be connected to how bad inputs lead to bad outputs. Now we have these sorts of decisions of AI as a mirror, it's going to be a point within how to avoid bad ChatGPT outputs, and the goals of the article. We can actually start prompting AI now to actually start our ideation process. So we want to start with, and this isn't a set prompt, this is a bit like conversational and freewheeling a bit. I recently came up with an idea for an 800-word article, how to avoid AI outputs. Let's say ChatGPT outputs there. One of the key points is that AI is like a mirror. You get in what you put out. AI makes mistakes because of how people use it, not the quality of the LLM or the platform. So we've got kind of an article direction we want to go with. And we're also going to grab the goals in here that we want to just give it some framework and some sort of rails to work within. So we could paste those in and say, here are the goals for the piece, and then say something like, can you please generate 20 potential headlines for this sort of piece? Under each headline, list out 3 to 5 main points that would make up the content of that piece. And we can hit run. We're ready to go now. We're ready to start ideating with AI. So we want to be thinking a lot of the time as your sort of editor, your editor-in-chief, directing the strategy and using ChatGPT or Claude as your co-pilot in building out these ideas and iterating and improving. Most people would just go like, come up with some headline ideas. Here's the title. Here's my rough idea. And it would just go in all sorts of directions. And rather than just a list of random titles, we've actually got headlines with the key points that we can start sifting through to pick out and iterate on. So your AI is only as good as your questions. Stop blaming the AI. Garbage in, garbage out. Some of these are okay. 5 prompt mistakes that guarantee bad ChatGPT results, the ChatGPT mirror, bad AI outputs are a symptom, not a disease. I quite like that one. That's a good working space. I'm actually going to take that one. That's a pretty nice way to start a title. Invokes a little curiosity without giving away the game. And it's added some key points below, which we might grab those as well. Reframing the frustration, reverse engineering, debugging mindset, personal library of effective prompts, all potentially good points in our article. But I actually want to work a bit harder on this title, and I actually like to use something now, which I found is called the 10 magical ways you can expand literally any piece of writing. So this allows us to think about like what is the thing that the reader is going to get out of this: tips, stats, steps, lessons, benefits, reasons, mistakes, examples, questions, personal stories. So I think for this one, and this is leading to something that I'm connecting to an idea, is I like the framing around mistakes, is in what mistakes are people making with their outputs. And while I think about this, there's actually, while we're writing this title, there was a report today that I actually read about how Deloitte are having to refund, I think, the Australian government because they used AI in a report and it started just delivering hallucinations and all sorts of rubbish and actually making up court statements and all sorts of things. They had to refund the Australian government. So I'm thinking we can actually blend these ideas. We can start mixing ideas now and connect the dots as we're writing. So bad AI outputs are a symptom, not a disease. 3 lessons from Deloitte's 400, $440,000 fail. Stronger title already than just like AI is like a mirror or how to avoid bad AI outputs. We've got a recognizable name in there. We've got what the reader's going to get. We've got a big number, and we've got sort of a hot topic in there as well. And it's sort of a newsy trending topic. So it hits a lot of the good marks that we want in our content. So we've got our title here. Next, we need to construct more of the outline of the piece. We did have some points that came back with some of our titles, but again, we need to use our brain a little bit and at least do some of the work to guide AI in the right direction and then get it to iterate on that. So most people would then write their subheadings when they're planning a piece. They might write like AI is a mirror, garbage in, garbage out, and check your work. They kind of, again, it's a bit of title syndrome as well, that people like actually just like to almost use it as a content or like what you're getting here or a descriptive title. But honestly, a lot of the value in all content, whether that's a long form piece, a LinkedIn post, a YouTube channel, people will skip through and look at the titles, and that's where they're trying to work out whether it's worth reading, where they're getting their value from. So if you're just putting like garbage in, garbage out, people are like, cool, whatever, heard that a million times. So either we need to deliver more value or structure this and reframe this in a more valuable takeaway for the reader. So we'll get rid of these and we'll try and work a bit harder to actually deliver some value in our subpoints here. AI reflects what you give it. It's why smart people get dumb results or lazy results. We can work on that. AI needs to know what you know but haven't said. It can't read your mind. So again, we're going to go into probably talking about giving it enough context and enough information, not just letting it make up and hallucinate stuff. And this is a warning to consultants who use AI purely as a productivity tool to speed run their work. Now we've worked on these points ourselves. Yes, you can use AI, but it's always good to try and get your original thoughts out yourself, do a little bit of the work. We can actually take all of this and we can go back over to our AI and actually start stress testing and improving and iterating on our thoughts here. These are my 3 core points I've come up with in my article, but I want to stress test the quality of these. Can you please come up with 5 more batches of 3 steps? Bad AI outputs are a symptom, not the disease. 3 lessons, blah, 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 blah. Hit that. So we're actually going to get it to iterate and come up, see if it can come up with anything better or stronger than I've come up with. So bad outputs reveal a bad process, not technology. Speed without strategy is just an expensive failure. I quite like that one. That could be a good lesson. AI is a mirror, not a mind reader. We were kind of already hitting at that. So there's some quite good ones in here. But again, we want to deliver as much value in the sort of sub point and the subtitles of our article. Again, like AI is a mirror, not a mind reader. It's kind of weak and vague. And we were writing them more as sentence format, actually delivering some value and giving some juice in them to help bring the reader through our article and be like, oh, I want to read more about that, or I want to find out how to do that. So instead, we might say again, like, these aren't bad, but these are all bullet points written with vague, clever titles. The ones I came up with in a sentence format, much more tangible and actionable. Can you come up with more in a sentence format that are actionable and tangible for the reader, please? So we'll get it to iterate and improve on what it's doing rather than just what Deloitte were doing, pulling, copy, sticky, paste, and not checking anything. And now we've got some more, I guess, actionable sentence in here. I quite like this one. This is actually a banger point. Bad outputs show you exactly what was missing from your prompt. Treat them as diagnostic feedback, not AI failure. She really like that one because a lot of people will prompt, they'll get kind of a bad result and they'll think, oh, ChatGPT sucks at doing that particular task. So I might take that and I might actually bring that into the work, into the outline that we've got here. We did have AI needs to know what you know, haven't said, but it can't read your mind. We could actually put that in here. Bad outputs show you exactly what's missing from your prompt. Treat them as diagnostic feedback, not AI failure. We've got a much more tangible, interesting angle to our piece with great points in there. We actually need to finish filling in the gaps. I know there's a lot of planning that goes into this, but again, as we're going to find out, if you're just giving meager information and no real direction to your writing, then AI is going to give you meager, directionless outputs that don't mean anything and that no one wants to read. So I want to jump back and pull back to our 10 magical ways to actually start building out what we're going to deliver in this article. So Deloitte's consultants prove that AI is a reflection and why smart people get dumb results. We could actually say like, well, we want to learn a lesson here. What's the lesson here? So we've got complete understanding of where we're going with this point. What's the lesson we've learned from what Deloitte did wrong? That's where that's our first point in the article. Bad outputs are exactly what was missing from a prompt. Treat them as diagnostic feedback. Okay, this could be more like something actionable, some steps to go from here. Like, oh, I got a bad output. Like, how do I actually go and fix that and improve that? How do I do this thing? And this final point could be probably a lesson to, we're talking about other consultants just trying to do things really fast and not actually taking care and attention in their work by using AI. So now we've got a pretty cool little outline that is almost ready to start filling in the blanks. Even if you were to just sit down and write now, you'd have way more clarity on where you're going with your article and what you're talking about in each point. We can just tidy this up a little bit. So just give me 2 seconds to actually tidy this up. And now we've almost got our complete mega point to actually either fill in the blanks and start writing ourselves that we've used AI to help us construct, or we can actually use AI to write the piece if you're that way inclined as well, but it's going to have way more direction. We can take that and paste that sort of outline we've come up into our AI. And personally, at this point, I'd probably write it myself because I enjoy writing and I like writing my newsletter, my blog posts and stuff. If you don't want to write it yourself, then you could say something like, this is my final article outline with each section delivering value in the subheader, then a lesson or actionable point, which is everything we've just gone through. Can you please draft the article in a punchy, no fluff way that gives the reader 3 lessons about avoiding bad outputs? Don't use EM dashes or don't make up facts or stats, just to give it some guidance. It should aim for 600 words, say. And then you can run that and see the sort of output that you're getting from ChatGPT. And obviously in seconds it generates our article, but you'll notice it's not perfect. Like, it's actually cut and changed some of our points here, which is kind of annoying. We didn't probably give it the guardrails we want, but we're working in a conversational manner here rather than perfect prompting to understand how to do this. And like any good writing, like, we still need to edit and improve, but this is the first draft to get our structure, and it's way better. It's way better than if we just said, hey, this is my idea, go and build me an outline and write it. You can see we've got lessons coming through in everything. When you cut corners on input, AI cuts corners on output. Nice little punchy line there. It makes things up to fill the gaps you didn't address, which is likely what happened in some of this Deloitte stuff. They didn't give it the information that it needed, so it just made up some quotes. The mirror doesn't lie. So again, we're hitting back on that point that I wanted to make at some point in my article about AI is like a mirror. AI diagnostics tool is actually given us our diagnostic process for how to improve your prompts based on your outputs, which is really nice. And again, we've hit nicely through this final point as well about AI consultants learning a lesson from just speed running AI. The consultants who failed weren't thinking strategically about how to use AI. They were thinking about how to bill more hours with less effort, which is essentially what a lot of people are trying to do. AI isn't a productivity tool, it's a co-pilot. You still do the strategic work of understanding the problem, defining success, gathering context, and setting quality standards. AI accelerates the execution of that strategy. this is nice, but it's not perfect and it needs probably quite a lot of improvement, which even if you're set on writing with AI, I'd suggest going and giving it your human touch now, spending time actually editing and drafting it into your final piece. One thing I do like to do to improve the quality, again, with AI in the process, is ask it to, can you review this piece as a world-class editor? My notes include make sure to use the exact subheaders we had defined in our outline. And also there is a mistake that our AI has run in the information we've given it, because I didn't actually give it that much information about this Deloitte report. We just sort of circled around it. But I want to clear that up now. Went and checked out the article actually. Deloitte isn't repaying the full 140k, only a partial refund, but they have admitted to using AI in their 440k report. That's our hook. So although I'm getting AI to work as an editor, I'm giving it some notes that I've spotted as well. And now it doesn't go and just rewrite for you based on what it thinks. It actually gives you some like critical feedback to discuss with it, suggesting the fix on how we write that intro, making sure those subheaders don't match. And then it actually goes into the structural strength where we need to minor polish it up, some flow checks, and gives some recommendations. We're going to make those changes and polish it up. We've got a better angle. We've got something newsy. We've got a better hook to the intro about why people should care. Like if Deloitte are failing at this as a consultant, then like, what are those mistakes that I don't want to make? We've actually got something that gives the reader a takeaway, gives them something they can actually learn and change their thinking, improve new steps of how they're using it, and providing some tangible content for the world, even though we might have used AI to actually do the heavy lifting and write post. But for a lot of people, they don't feel like they're great writers, or they don't have maybe even the time, or they sit down on a keyboard and they don't feel like they have anything new to offer the world. Working in this structured manner of your seed of idea, iterating on your titles, adding in those 10 magical ways, those lessons, those mistakes to build your outline actually draws that information out your brain and your expertise to then deliver something. And even if you use this sort of using AI for the planning stage, but you write it yourself, you're going to get a way better structure to your writing. So go and try this out today. It will definitely make you a better writer, and it will definitely make you a better writer with AI in the loop as well.